Well, the whole when it happened, it's gut wrenching to say the least. It definitely took some time to collect myself. I had to go back and rewatch the fight and really relive the whole thing all over again. And it was really gut wrenching. It feels like the opportunity to do great things was pretty much stolen from me. Stolen from me in that moment. And you know, it's just something that, as fighters, we win and we lose, and then we have to live with it. And it's definitely not fun. Doesn't get any easier every time. But it doesn't feel like I lost the fight. I just feel like it was taken from me. You know what I mean? The opportunity to persevere, which is one thing I've done in a lot of my fights, and continue on and try to make good on the fight. You know what I mean? So gut wrenching is an understatement.
Mm-hmm. When you watch it, what are you seeing? Like when you watch that final sequence, what is your takeaway?
Well, when I watched that final sequence, when he hit me with the shot, it was a good shot, and definitely took my equilibrium away. But I was definitely in recovery mode. I had my wits about me. I was able to create some distance and then turn to face my opponent. And he did everything he was supposed to do. He kept the pressure on and tried to mount a good offense to try to finish the fight. But I was still there. My hands were up. I was covering up most of those shots, especially in the final sequence. I even threw a counter strike, a nice clean counter strike that I think landed. And then I put my hands right back up to defend for whatever was coming next. And that's when the ref stepped in. And definitely the absolute worst time for him to step in right after I throw a shot. I'm competently defending myself. You know what I mean? My eyes are clear. I'm looking at my opponent. I'm creating space. I'm just intelligently trying to recover from, that sequence. So, I think the ref had more elevated, was more elevated by the whole thing than I was. I was in sort of like autopilot. Okay, this is a bad situation to be in, but I've been here before, so this is where I recover and then try to mount the offense back to take the pressure off of me. So it's frustrating as hell to go back and watch it every time. I've watched it like 7 or 8 times, and it's frustrating as hell every time. I feel like I was definitely winning that fight up until that point. Nassourdine was definitely getting some momentum in that fight in the later moments of the fight, but still, I was at that moment I was winning the fight. So again, just frustrating, gut wrenching. A lot went into this camp. It's been a long time since I've been in the octagon. It's been about a year, and it was a highly competitive fight. You know what I mean? And the opportunity to persevere, which is one thing I've always done in my fights, been able to persevere, go through that adversity and come out, was just, snatched away from me. Not to mention the chance for, to get those 2 checks, my second check, my win bonus check, and probably even that moment could have made it a fight of the night. You know what I mean? Had that fight kept going, that moment could have made it a fight of the night. So it could have been a potential performance bonus. So opportunities, man. They feel like the opportunity was just taken away from me, and as well as Nassourdine. The opportunity for him to have a clean finish, a clean win, for him to go in. And instead, we have this controversy that we have to deal with. But yeah, it's just not something that nobody wants to go through. I'm sure the ref is catching a lot of flack on this, and rightfully so, because a lot of times, there's no accountability in these situations. So it just sucks for everybody that we have to go through this, especially when it was the main event. It was a ranked middleweight fight. I was the one who was put more at risk by taking this fight. You know what I mean? So all that just came right to the forefront of it. At that moment, all of that was just taken away. Everything that all the momentum that I had built up to this point, trying to get to the title fight, coming off of that win against Vittori last year, trying to keep that momentum going. Again, I was winning this fight up until that point. On the scorecards, I was winning. It's been a minute since I've gotten paid, you know what I mean? So I wanted to get those 2 checks. On top of that, I really wanted to, to compete, you know what I mean? To have the performance that I really wanted. To go in there and fight and win on my own volition, under my own power. And if I lose the way, you know what I mean? Lose like a warrior, go out on my shield. Not going out throwing punches, you know what I mean? Trying to recover and having the opportunity to have that comeback moment just taken away from me. So it just wasn't an easy camp, you know what I mean? The fight wasn't easy. Nassourdine did everything he was supposed to do. It wasn't, he put up a good fight. But I felt like I was on my way to winning that fight. I was getting ready to turn the gas up in the 4th and 5th round and solidify the victory. And just that moment was taken away from me.
Wondering before you came on whether you were on that show win structure, and that would make it even costlier for you. And now we find out that is true. Is there any indication that the brass agrees that this was a horrible decision and will try to make this right to you? Do you know of any plans of doing that?
Yes, I think they're all in agreement that it was a very bad stoppage. Like a horrible stoppage, Yeah. I think the whole world is in agreement that was the worst thing that could have happened that night. That fight ended the way it ended. So yes, they're all in agreement. As far as any compensation, I don't know. I want to petition for a rematch. The UFC is going to Paris in September. I would love to go to Nasourdine's backyard and make that right. He'll have the home field advantage. It won't be people chanting USA. It'll be champion. It'll be people chanting Français, or whatever, however they say France and Spanish in French. But that's what I would like. In order to make that right, to make that right, that's something that I would want. That a rematch in Paris. He came over here, so I'm more than happy to go over there. It wouldn't be my first time I've gone to somebody's backyard and come out with my hand raised. I've done it in Brazil. I've done it in Copenhagen. I'm more than happy to do it again in Paris. So that's something that I want. So that's something we're going to be pushing for, trying to get that rematch. Because I lost a lot in that moment. You know what I mean? I was ranked number 4. I don't know how that's going to affect the rankings. I was in good position to make this to make another run for the title. I was right there at the doorstep of a title, So I don't know how that's going to affect anything. But yes, the UFC brass is in agreement that was a bad stoppage, and I hope they will be in agreement that a rematch is what's the word? It'll be good compensation for for that occurrence.
Do you know if they are? Do you know if they're interested, or is it too soon?
Initially, I've gotten my manager has told me that Mick is interested in it. So we'll see what happens,
Yeah, I love that idea. That's a tremendous idea, and you don't have to wait too long, right? That's in 3 months. So I think that makes a ton of sense. I'm wondering, in the cage or backstage, did Jason Herzog, the referee, speak to you about the call?
No.
What about
nobody talked to me?
No one? Nothing?
In the cage, when I right as he stopped it, I was looking at him like, "What are you doing?"
Yeah.
And then he started motioning to somebody on the outside, talking about I was getting hit, and he put his hands up like I was taking shots, and he put his hands up but I wasn't taking shots. But if I was taking shots, I was taking shots on my guard. He may have hit me. A few may have snuck in there, but they weren't he wasn't knocking me down. I was moving. You know what I mean? The knee. There was talks about how the knee had landed, but the knee had landed when he was going backwards. He threw. It was a switch knee. It wasn't like he was grounded and flung the knee up into my head. The knee didn't land hard at all. it didn't add to the compromised state I was in. So I was pushing him off. I was getting my space. I was getting ready to clinch him up and tie him up. And then the ref, I was swinging back, and we saw what happened. So no, I hadn't heard. No, nobody else has talked to me. I've only talked to my team. I talked to my manager who was in contact with the UFC, and so that's where I've been getting my information from. And of course, the internet is speaking as loudly as possible. So I'm glad that most of the world is on my side in regards to this being a bad stoppage.